Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Midlife Awakening. I'm so glad you're here today. Have you ever had someone believe in you before you fully believed in yourself? Someone who saw potential when all you could see were mistakes. Someone who stood beside you when others stepped away. Someone who encouraged you at exactly the right moment. Many of us can point to a person like that in our lives. And if we're honest, many of us also remember seasons when we desperately needed someone like that. Today, we're talking about a man in the Bible whose name became almost synonymous with encouragement. His name was Barnabas. In fact, Barnabas wasn't even his original name. In Acts 4, verse 36, tells us that his name was Joseph, but the apostles called him Barnabas, which means son of encouragement. Imagine being so known for encouraging others that it becomes your identity. Not because you preach the loudest, not because you performed miracles, not because you led the largest crowd, but because you consistently lifted people up. What a legacy! Barnabas first appears in Scripture as a generous and faithful believer. He sold the field he owned and brought the proceeds to support the early church. He wasn't looking for recognition. He simply wanted to be part of what God was doing. And that's one of the first lessons we learn from Barnabas. Sometimes the most powerful ministry isn't standing in front of people. Sometimes it's faithfully supporting what God is building. But perhaps the most remarkable moments in Barnabas' story comes when Saul enters the scripture. You know Saul, the man who persecuted Christians, the man who approved the death of Stephen, the man believers feared. After Saul encountered Jesus and became a follower of Christ, many Christians were understandably hesitant to trust him. They weren't sure if his conversion was genuine. Can you blame them? But Barnabas did something courageous. Acts 9 tells us that Barnabas took Saul and brought him to the apostles. He vouched for him. He believed God had truly changed him. Think about that for a moment. What if Barnabas had chosen caution instead of faith? What if he had stayed silent? What if he had decided Saul's past was too messy? Humanly speaking, Saul might never have received the opportunity he needed. Of course, God's plans would ultimately prevail, but Barnabas became part of God's plan by extending trust and encouragement. Sometimes people don't need another reminder of their past. They need someone who can see what God is doing in their future. Barnabas saw that, and because he did, the church gained one of its greatest missionaries, and that's Paul. That's the power of encouragement. It's not just making someone feel good. It can help unlock God's calling in their life. And Barnabas wasn't finished. Later, when revival broke out in Antioch, Barnabas was sent to investigate. Acts 11 says that when he arrived and saw the grace of God at work, he rejoiced and encouraged everyone to remain faithful to the Lord. Would you love that? He didn't arrive looking for problems. He arrived looking for evidence of God's grace. Sometimes we become experts at spotting what's wrong, Barnabas teaches us to also notice what God is doing right. He saw growth, he saw faith, he saw God moving, and he encouraged people to keep going. What if more of us became grace watchers instead of fault finders? What if we intentionally looked for evidence of God's work in people around us? Barnabas did, and lives will change because of it. Then comes another powerful moment. Barnabas went looking for Saul and brought him to Antioch. For an entire year, they ministered together. Barnabas could have kept the spotlight. Instead, he shared it. He made room for someone else's gifts. That's true humility. There comes a season in life when success is no longer about being the one who shines. It's about helping others shine. Especially for those of us in midlife, this lesson is incredibly important. Many of us have accumulated wisdom, experience, and lessons through years of walking with God. The question becomes, who are we helping? Who are we encouraging? Who are we mentoring? And who are we preparing for what comes next? Barnabas understood that God's kingdom grows when we invest in others. And then we come to one of the most human moments in his story. Barnabas and Paul disagreed sharply over John Mark. Paul didn't want Mark joining the missionary journey because he had previously left them. Barnabas wanted to give him another chance. The disagreement became so strong that they parted ways. Yet Barnabas chose to invest in Mark. And years later, that same Mark became a valuable servant of God. Barnabas saw potential where others saw failure. He believed that one mistake didn't have to define a person's future. That's a message many of us need to hear. Maybe you've stumbled. Maybe you've disappointed yourself. Maybe you've walked away from something God called you to do. Your story doesn't have to end there. God is still writing chapters. And perhaps, just like Mark, what looks like a setback today may become part of a greater testimony tomorrow. Barnabas reminds us that encouragement is not a small thing. It is kingdom work. A kind word, a prayer, a phone call, a note, a conversion, a vote of confidence. These things can change lives. You may never preach to thousands. You may never write a book. You may never stand on a platform. But you can be a Barnabas. You can encourage someone. You can help someone take one more step. And you can remind someone that God isn't finished with them. And you never know how far the impact of that encouragement may reach. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If this episode encouraged you, please share it with someone who may need it. And if you're enjoying Midlife Awakening, I'd be grateful if you would follow, rate, and review the show. As always, if you have a prayer request, testimony, or topic suggestion, you can reach me through the email listed on the About page of the show. Until next time, remember this: a few words of encouragement may seem small to you, but in God's hands, they can help change the course of someone's life.